it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, My Asexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button down below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now or post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you'll find the content useful, helpful or insightful in some way. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, the author of Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. Asexuality is the lack of sexual attraction. It's a sexual orientation that is barely heard of a lot of the time and deeply misunderstood, although we are getting a lot more representation in the media now. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. Well, tonight I've got a very, very, very important episode for you tonight, so I want you to buckle up, you know, get in the zone, as it were. Listen to what I have to say, because it could save your life, it could save you time, it could save you energy and a lot of wasted years. It's a really important episode. It's going to be an in-depth one, so please make sure you're ready. And I just want to talk to you about how to spot a narcissist. You know, I'm going to go through what is a narcissist, how to spot one, and then how to recover from a narcissist or an abuser. You know, how do you recover? How do you get out that situation and how do you recover? So I'm going to go through the steps of how to spot a narcissist and abuser in the first place. Then I'm going to talk to you about how to deal with that and how to recover from it. I think it's really important I go through all those stages with you. So this is going to be an in-depth video. And unfortunately, narcissists love nothing more than videos done about them because they're full of their own self-importance. So sadly, if we're talking about narcissists and abusers, unfortunately, they like a lot of the attention. But I'm not doing this video for them. I'm doing it for you. So first of all, what is a narcissist? I mean, obviously, abuser is pretty obvious what an abuser is. But just to clarify, in terms of an abuser, you can get different types of abuse. You can get emotional, physical, mental. You know, you can get emotional abuse, physical abuse, or mental abuse. You know, the one that's, you know, the ones that are often overlooked are the more emotional and mental abuse. You know, physical you can see. You know, well, often people cover it up, but the mental abuse and the emotional abuse, you know, is very, very traumatic. And that's what narcissists are very good at. So if I read the definition out of a narcissist, NPD, otherwise known as narcissistic personality disorder, is a personality disorder with a long-term pattern of abnormal behavior characterized by exaggerated feelings of self-importance, excessive need for admiration, and lack of empathy. Now, a lack of empathy is really what does it. You know, a lack of empathy is really the major thing that'll be a huge red flag when a narcissist comes into your life. So a narcissistic person is someone that will have no empathy for you. The only time they might show emotion and empathy for you is when they're trying to do it as a controlling thing. So narcissists are very controlling. They've got, you know, they're very bad. They lack empathy. They'll blame you for things. So I've got some notes here. So I'm just gonna go and go through some of the notes I've got. Okay, and I'm also going to be talking from my personal experience of narcissists and abusers. I'm not going to make reference to any specific person by name. I'm going to use my experience of all the years, not just one specific situation with one specific person I've been in. So when I refer to different types of situations, it will be from a range of experiences, not just one particular person. I have to let you know a truth which is really hard to take. A lot of the time, if you attract abusers and particularly narcissists, then you tend to keep attracting them, and it's very, very hard to break the cycle. You have to understand that, you know, there are a lot of good people in the world, but there are also a lot of people that are narcissistic and abusive. I did a pattern changing course in 2013. And it was a 3-month course, intensive course. It was funded through the NHS, which is a National Health Service in the UK. And it was to spot patterns of bad behavior, abusive behavior. and to break the patterns of the cycle of getting back into an abusive relationship. The main thing you have to note down is that whatever you do, you learn from your own experience and that of sharing your experience with others. You know, because narcissists will make you think you're going crazy, that you're the narcissistic one, that you're the possessive one, that you're the really bad one, that you're the nasty one. This is what they do. They twist your mind into making you believe that it's you. And so I just want you to understand that, you know, you can attract these type of people again and again because they're attracted to certain personality types. So, for example, narcissists prey on people that are highly sensitive. Like, I'm a very sensitive person, right? They prey on someone like me. I'm bait for them because they lack empathy and they want to control me. And they do that to a lot of people that are very sensitive, caring people. They will spot them and they will see that as a weakness. Being emotional is not a weakness. Being sensitive is not a weakness, right? But to a narcissist, it will be. And they will literally try to suck the life out of you over a period of time. Could be short, could be long. And they will literally try to suck your soul out of your being. That's how bad it can get, right? Because they just want to dominate your life in a way that they try and twist things so it seems like they're not dominating you, but you're being the bad party. It's very, very subtle sometimes, but once you start spotting the signs of a narcissist, you'll see them pop up quite a lot. Different people that are narcissistic, you'll see these traits, and it could be someone you know quite well. You could even spot them in friends or people that you come across. And once you start spotting the traits, it's kind of like this sort of big secret that people don't understand. And you get to know all these narcissistic traits and you're like, oh my God, how come I can see they're narcissists, but no one else can? Well, people who continue to be have experience of narcissists, if you're consciously aware of that, you know, as in you're being realistic, as in you're thinking, yeah, I do attract narcissists. What can I do about it? Not just living in like denial. You know, you need to live a conscious life. You know, a conscious life means dealing with the harsh truth. A conscious life means dealing with your fears and tackling your problems and weaknesses head on. You know, I know narcissists target me. I know that because of the type of person I am, kind, caring, very sensitive girl, right? They target me. They'll target you if you're that way inclined. There was someone in my old job. He used to target me and he used to target this other woman as well, not just me. And now, since I've not been there, he's been targeting her more, you know? And she's quite a strong woman, but she's very sensitive and emotional at the same time, and things do affect her. So that's how come he targets her. So I just want to, you know, reiterate that narcissists are people who lack empathy. They will blame you for things when it's not your fault. You might not even been in the same place as them, the same room as them. I'm just going to go through my notes. So basically, one of the things they do is they one of their really big strong traits is the lack of empathy. Let's address the lack of empathy issue. Now, you will when you first get with them, if you're getting into a relationship with a narcissist, for example, you might think they're quite sweet, laid back, kind, caring, innocent, because this is a persona they like to portray to the public. They like to portray that they're Mr. or Mrs. nice girl or guy, that they're really laid back, you know, really laid back, maybe the happy-go-lucky type, doesn't take life too seriously, maybe even joking around, maybe even playful. And this is the persona that they will put out there into the world, right? This is the persona they want people to see. It's a false persona. This is a narcissistic, abusive, false persona. But this is how they'll come across to a lot of people. They'll come across maybe charming, charismatic, you know, oh, you know, he's a good laugh or she's a good laugh, isn't she? And that is what they want people to believe and think, because this is their disguise, right? You have to understand that narcissistic people are not being themselves. They are not being their true, authentic self. They are just wearing masks pretty much all the time. I mean, they're, you know, in the public eye. Behind closed doors, however, you can, you know, it can be a terrible life for you, right? If you allow it to happen, right? So, and they can do it over a long period of time, do the abuse. It's a lot of a mental and emotional abuse. They will put you down. They will start doing it probably in front of people. and they will literally blame you for anything and everything in the relationship. Anything and everything will be your fault. And if anything goes wrong in their life, they don't take responsibility. It's your fault. Okay? Always your fault. You might not even be the same room as them. You might not even be near them at the time, and something will happen in their life and they'll blame you, even though you're not there. So say you, for example, I don't know, say you went to how can I say it? I'll give you an example. So say you text someone, right? Say you text your narcissistic boyfriend, you don't know they're narcissistic at the moment, right? So you text your narcissistic boyfriend or your narcissistic girlfriend, and then the text, interrupts them doing something, right? And they lose their train of thought, they lose their focus or something, and then they basically blame you, right? They were the one who looked at the message. They were the one who had their phone on looking at their message or heard the message. But it doesn't matter, because even if you weren't there, you're responsible for the fact they cocked up whatever they're trying to focus on because you sent them the message. Do you see what I mean? They could be sending you 20 messages in a day. And it doesn't matter, because they're always right. They're never wrong. They can do what the hell they like and invade your privacy, invade your space, and do what the hell they want to, because they feel entitled. This is what a narcissistic and abuser does. They feel very entitled. So basically, they're allowed to do what the hell they want to you in your life. And they won't ask your permission. They won't ask your, not even permission. They won't ask you something. They will tell you. So, for example, they might tell you, I'm coming to see you every Wednesday, or I'm coming to spend weekends with you every weekend. They won't ask you, what you're doing at weekends, what you're doing this weekend. How do you like to spend your weekend? We've just got into a relationship, like to see a bit more of you. When do you think we can fit this in? There's no negotiating with them. What they say goes, right? If they tell you something, they feel entitled that that's their right to do that, right? And if you say, well, I'm not available, then they might start saying, oh, well, I'm not available either now. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be very, very careful. They're very, very controlling. And, and they will literally blame you. So say that they were interested in they were basically like interested in another guy or girl, right? And you saw a text from this other guy or girl on their phone, and it's obvious that they're flirting with them. And then, they would twist it around. So you're the paranoid one. This is just a friend. You're really paranoid, you are. What's the matter with you? Do you see what I mean? Even though they're blatantly flirting in front of you on the text, it's all your fault. So this is what a narcissistic and abuser is like. They can do what the hell they want and invalidate you. They can like come into your life and demand things from you, think they're entitled. They might think they're entitled sexually as well. And obviously, if you're asexual, this is a really bad thing. So you might think they're all automatically entitled to sex from you if they're your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? So as an asexual person, you've got to really spot these signs. And they might try and persuade you that you're being unfair to them, you're being unreasonable to them, you're not giving them what they want, what's the matter with you. You're not normal and stuff like this, right? It's not, and they will try and invalidate your boundaries. When you put boundaries in place, they will try and go over them. So they might be good at first. They might say, okay, you say you don't want sex, okay. And then they'll start touching you more. And you might say, well, I'm not comfortable with that. And they'll start doing it more to you or in other places because they want to get away with stuff. They want to test your boundaries, push you all the time because they want to disempower you, right? So this is what some narcissists and abusers, they do. Another thing, right, is they will, I've made some notes. They will often want you to move in quickly with them. So they'll move really fast as well, abusers, right? People who want to get into relationships that are abusers, they'll move very, very fast. They may be on asexual dating sites like I'll give you an instance, right? Tonight, I'm like, oh my God, right, I've been talking to a guy on ASAP. He's nice. We're getting on really well. Fine, all good. There was this other guy that came on ASAP, and in his profile, he was complaining about women, right? It was like one of those twisted complaints, right? One that's like saying basically about women, like it's funny how women. What was it? He said something about it's funny how women, women like like don't, you know, like they push away men who are trying to make them happy, but yet they'll go, you know, they'll happily cry over a guy who's bad for them, right? And so I said you could equally say that about guys, you know, that they push good women away, basically. They prefer bitches, you know, you could say that. So I said that back to him because he said hi to me. He approached me first, right? And anyway, so I got into a bit of a conversation with him, and I just found out he's asexual, not asexual. I asked him if he's asexual because he said, oh, his woman cheated on him and all the rest of it. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. And then I said, well, did you not know you were asexual when you were with her then? And then he started saying, oh, I was good in bed. I satisfied her in bed. I said, so you're not really asexual then, are you? And obviously, I'm not saying that all asexuals are crap in bed, because, you know, just because we're asexual doesn't mean to say that. But obviously the way he's talking, going, oh yeah, I was very satisfying for her in bed. I said, so you're not really asexual then, are you? And immediately you want to come off the app and start talking to me on Google Hangouts, moving really, really fast. Oh, you seem like a nice girl. It's like, well, I'm eating and going to do my work now, you know? So people who are narcissistic and abusers, right, you've got to be very careful because they will play the victim, right? They'll be like, oh, I'm so hard done by, you know, and as a person who's empathetic, you know, the narcissist lacks empathy, right? But they will target people who are empathetic, who are sympathetic, who are sensitive, kind, and caring. They will target you, if you're like that, as a person to abuse. They won't say, oh, I want to abuse that person, because they don't think they're an abuser. I have to make this clear. They don't think there's anything wrong with them. They don't think they have a problem. Everyone else is a problem, not them, you see. So, you know, really, you know, they should be getting help. They should be seeing a therapist, psychotherapist, psychologist, psychiatrist to get help for being a narcissist or abuser. But they don't think they're abusive. They don't think there's anything wrong with them. Nothing's ever their fault. They're always right. And that's life, really, to them. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be so careful. So this guy on ASAP, I'm already clocking him that, you know, he's not a good guy straight away. And he's not asexual as well, by the sounds of it either. And I told you I always attract the highly sexual guys. I mean, that's only have a few conversations with him. So, but you know, one of the things they'll move fast on as well as the relationship is moving in. They will want to move in with you very quickly, or you to move in with them. And it seems really romantic at first, right? It seems like, whoa, they're making plans for the future, because obviously if you're looking for a long-term relationship, you ideally want someone who's going to be making some sort of plans, you know, down the line, like, you know, like obviously if you live apart, that they're going to move to live near you or with you if you prefer to live together, you know? So you're going to want to, you know, you're going to want a person, really, if you're looking for a long-term, serious, committed relationship, that they've got like a 6 or 12-month plan, you know, within 12 months, you know, if they're not living anywhere near you or not near enough, you're going to want them to sort it out, aren't you? And man up or girl up or whatever, and or gender up, and you know, be strong. You want them to be strong. That's what I'm trying to say. And you know, and actually do something about it. So obviously, if they're looking for you to move in and they say, oh, you know, it'd be great if you know, they want to move in. But it'll be like they tell you, not they ask you your opinion, what you think about moving in with them. It'll be just like, oh yeah, it'd be great. I want you to move in with me. And, you know, and obviously if you move in with them, they've got more control over you than ever before. So although it can seem really romantic at first, really nice gesture, and it feels good, it can actually be like the death of you, you know, because once you are in the relationship, you've moved in with them, you often become financially dependent on that abuser or narcissist. And then you can't get out of the situation because you haven't got a roof over your head if you leave them, right? You end up in a hostel or a refuge. Unless you can go back and live with your parents or whatever family, you know, for free or low cost, right? So you got to be very careful when they say about moving in quickly, because you don't know what they're like, and they're usually using it as a form of control, not as a form of romance. But it will be very romantic for you, you know, especially if you're a romantic person, or even if you're not a romantic person, you just might say, oh, that's good, I can have some company, like a platonic great friend, buddy, and I can stop living on my own because I'm feeling a bit lonely or whatever. Do you know what I mean? They'll prey on people who feel lonely as well. So you got to be very careful. Another thing is I've told you they don't ask, they assume everything, right? Another thing that's really bad is they will side with an abuser. Okay, so if you've had abuse in the past from another narcissist or another abuser, they will side usually with the abuser. So if you share your, this is why you shouldn't really share too much about your past abuse with people you don't know that well, because they will use it against you. So say something happened in the relationship, and if there's any sort of little doubt in your mind that maybe, like, because everyone, hey man, I wake up tonight for your stream. Hi, it's lovely to see you. Thank you for tuning in. It's great to see you. So they will so you got to be so careful, because they will side with an abuser. I had a situation, right? A person you probably don't know. Hi Sam, nice to see you too. So there is a person, I live in the UK, in case you didn't know, and Bristol is a place that's not far from where I live. And I met this so-called asexual guy on an asexual dating site, asexuality.com. And it was going back quite a long time now. I think this was a couple of years ago. And basically, yeah, it was really bad. I Skyped with him for about 6 hours, I think it was, because he's foreign but in the UK, and I was aesthetically attracted to him. But by the hi Heather, nice to see you as well. But by the time the conversation had finished, I knew he was narcissistic. I know you're from India, right? Poems, Amit. So thanks for the thumbs up. It's cool. So yeah, so basically, they will try and manipulate you. They will try and side with the abuser to make you even more feel like you're going crazy, right? And that basically the abuse in the past was warranted from the other person or something. So this person from Bristol who I spoke to, I told him that I'd been upset in the past, I'd had some abuse. I shared something with him that was personal about past abuse, and he took this side of the abuser, and he had no empathy for me whatsoever. So this is a sign of complete narcissist. They have no empathy, and they're actually siding with an abuser as well. So this is really, really bad. This is not a situation you want to be in, because they'll literally start making you feel like the past abusers, well, you deserved it because you're not a good person or something. And the narcissist will gradually they will destroy your self-confidence, your self-esteem. They will literally, this is a live stream, so unless your country blocks it, you should be able to see it because I'm live. You might have to refresh your page or use a different browser, because I'm in Google Chrome with this. I can't use it on Safari. So basically, yeah, they will always try and side with the abuser. I have no empathy for you usually. If they don't side with the abuser, they might have, they might just show indifference, or they might be doing something, just to appease you, or just to just keep you happy because they've got one up on you, power over you. But usually they'll have no empathy. And if you've had past abuse and they show no empathy whatsoever to past abuse, and you said you've been abused, I mean, most people would go, oh my God, I'm really sorry to hear that. And they would feel something. You would see in their expression, you would see in their body language, you feel it on the phone, you would feel from them a heartfelt compassion, right? But narcissists and abusers, they don't have that compassion, right? They don't have that feeling. They don't have that emotion. It's like they're numb towards you. It's like there's this hollowness about them, right? But you might still find them attractive. Narcissists, because they've got this charming streak, can still pull you in an attraction. They can still make you feel attracted towards them. It's kind of like, when something's pulling away from you that you really, really want, they have that really bad sort of pulling them towards you, even though it's unhealthy. It's the way they do it. They kind of mess with your chemical hormones a bit, and so it's really important that you understand their behavior and what they're up to, which is really no good. One thing that they do as well, which is so bad, is they will take something that you're doing in your everyday life, and they will pay you a backhanded compliment, which is really a criticism. So they might say, so for example, say you, I don't know, say you were having the remote control, right? And you were flicking through the channels, you was then setting up a Blu-ray or DVD or something, and something happened and the TV went, it went all fuzzy or something. You're like thinking, what the hell's going on here? Instead of them saying, oh, well, would you like me to try for you and fix it, and then doing it, and then you say, oh, thank you, they say no problem, they'll turn around and say to you, oh, I thought you used a TV remote control all the time, I thought you was an expert in it, but yet you can't even fix this. So they will pay you like a backhanded compliment, like saying you're an expert or you're great at something, but yet you're no good at this. They might do it with your career. So they might come along in your life, be interested in a relationship with you. You're doing really, you've got this career, right? But you don't know everything. No one knows everything, right? A person who's a good person will be very humble. They will be, they'll be very humble. They will be very compassionate, caring. They will want to grow, want to learn, want to understand, and they will know fundamentally that no one knows everything. Right? I know a lot about asexuality, but there's still tons more that I don't know, right? Still tons more I need to learn. There's other channels that cover some other topics and things that I probably don't, and I cover topics that they don't. We don't know everything, right? I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'll be learning and growing all my life. You should always be a student in life, not just a teacher, right? But if you've got someone who's trying to control you, they're trying to literally dominate you. And so you might be specialized in a favorite subject, or you might have a career. So say you're I don't know, say you're into, I hate football and sport, but say you're a footballer, right? Say you go to training regularly, right? And then they might turn around and they might have learned one technique of football that they've seen on a YouTube video somewhere that you haven't yet heard about. And they might start talking about it with you because obviously they like to feel important. They like everyone's attention on them. So by getting a bit of information you didn't know, that makes them seem more important. But not only do they make them feel more important and seem more important, they will put you down. So they will literally say, oh, I saw this YouTube, I saw this video, I saw this technique. They might not even say where they got it from. Oh, yeah, it's really good. And you might be like, you might have done football for a long time, but you haven't seen this technique. And they'll be like, oh, I thought you were an expert in that. But you obviously didn't know that. And so instead of it being a giving, loving, knowledgeable, sharing thing, like a healthy relationship should be, right? A healthy relationship should have two people growing together. People should be helping each other out with their careers, not telling them what to do. Obviously, if your partner's like very expert in something, the last thing you want to do is put them down about it, right? And crush their ego and make them feel bad. But you can still share ideas and things that they may not have known, because obviously when you're close to a subject, you don't know everything. I mean, I get friends who share asexual links with me, some of which I've seen before and some of which I haven't, and I find very interesting. I don't say, oh, don't send it me, because I already talk about asexual. I'm like, yeah, show it me, that's nice of you, thank you very much. You be humble, you could be compassionate, you be kind, you be caring, you be loving, you be giving, and you be sharing. A narcissistic and abuser will literally, like I said, pay you like a compliment saying, oh, I thought you were good at this. They might use this technique, this was used recently, and they might say, oh, I thought you were intelligent enough to know that. You see what I mean? It's a backhanded compliment. They're being really, really sarcastic and nasty, because they're saying, you should know all this because of what you do, yet you don't. I've got one up on you. That's what they're basically trying to say. And they're trying to put you down, belittle you. And this behavior will continue. So if you start seeing this pattern of behavior, then don't think that it will stop. It will just get worse and worse and worse until they are completely dominating your life. And the more they start knowing about your subject, the more it gives them self-importance and makes them feel great that they're belittling you. And they also devalue as well, because if they think they know something that you don't, they automatically devalue. Even though you're a high value person, they'll devalue you because they know something that you don't, and they think they're better than you. Right? This is not a healthy person. A healthy person shares interests, hobbies, dreams, ambitions, goals, helps each other to grow. A healthy relationship is where you're both growing. It's like I build websites, but I can't code, for example. If I had a partner who was talking about code, I'd love it. I don't know, I can't code, but I'm still happy to hear about it. But obviously, if I've got a guy who's sharing all about code, I find that very attractive when he's talking about it. And a good guy will just share his knowledge and talk about what he does in his day, and it'll be so exciting, it'd be nice. But a nasty guy will say, You told me you build websites, but yet you can't code. I thought you're more intelligent than that. Do you see what I mean? That's like a really backhanded compliment, or, you know, really nasty, twisting things around. So, you know, you have to be going towards people who are nice, kind, caring, who want to share and help you in your life, who want to talk to you about things and share things they've liked and know, but are not twisted with it, right? You don't want someone who's twisted with it and horrible. You know, it's like it happened to me. You know, there was a person that I knew, and you know, I do a YouTube show like this show, as you know, and I was trying to access yeah, these people are immature, Heather, I agree with you. And I was literally trying to find a video on my iPad, and I was searching my history and I couldn't find it. And they're like, oh, it's in the index. And I'm like, oh, right, okay. I've never even noticed that on my iPad because I don't really go into all the option things, you know. And I'm like, oh, right, thanks so much. And they go, oh, I thought you'd know about that since you do a YouTube show all the time. It's like, you know, you're supposed to know these things. I'm like, that's really nasty. You know, you helped me out. I was really grateful. I didn't actually know that because I consider that as a technicality on the iPad. I hold my hands up and say, you know, sometimes it takes me ages to know tech stuff. I'm naturally interested in tech in the fact that I've grown and do my own websites. I've done them for years now. I'm interested in a lot of IT stuff, but I'm not naturally inclined that way, right? Took me 6 months to learn iMovie, for example, you know? But I don't have to justify myself like that, you know? It is what it is. But I don't pretend to be something I'm not. A person who's genuine, kind and caring, good person will be very humble, will hold their hands up in life and say, I don't know everything. I've got weaknesses, you know, as well as strengths. And they will understand themselves and live in a conscious state. Someone who's narcissistic or abusive, they will literally blame others for everything, blame others for their life, not take responsibility for everything, anything, put their partners down, you know, and literally they would just that unempathy is one thing that will just shine through. Now, I want to they'll show no emotion usually towards you either. I want to just go to Quora, right? Quora is a very huge online forum and it's full of useful answers to questions. I'm on there quite a lot. And so I just want to cover some of what they do, right? There's this person, because it's nice to hear from other people, not just me. Okay, it's nice to hear from other people's experiences. But so I've got Quora up now and I'm going to read from it because this is a really important question. Do all narcissists leave their supplies? So you've got to understand that when you are with a narcissist, you are their fix, their supplier of boosting their ego, of basically making your, you know, you're small so that it boosts their ego up. They feed off a person who's sensitive, empathetic, you know, sympathetic, and they basically get a fix off you like a blooming vampire, right? And so this was a question: do all narcissists leave their supplies, as in their partners? And this person is a researcher of NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, and they've had 3 narcissistic partners. Okay, so like I said, once you attract narcissists and abusers, you tend to have them still being attracted to you. You just have to learn techniques and recognize the type of people that are abusers and narcissists and see the signs, so that if you do become with a narcissist or an abuser, you can get the hell out of there very, very quickly. A heck out there very, very quickly, which is what you should be doing. When you start seeing the signs, you should be getting the red flags. 3 red flags is more than enough to leave them, right? Do not wait around. These people have no sympathy, no empathy for you, and they will not be good for you in your life, right? So anyway, I'm going to read this out because this person's had 3 narcissistic partners and they do research into narcissistic personality disorder, otherwise known as NPD. Just take some water. And this really will show you great insight into what a narcissistic person is like, right? And you might even know someone like this. Okay, narcissists will stay for many years if their partner is a doormat. But normally relationships with narcissists don't last very long. The 3 NPDs I was involved with admitted to me that their other relationships lasted only a few months to 1 year. Research shows that within 6 months of dating a narcissist, a partner usually knows that something is wrong with that person, NPD, but they don't know yet that he or she is a narcissist. I knew after 2 months of dating. Many partners leave the narcissist at some point. Some leave and return to the narcissist approximately 7 times before they leave for good. It is not easy to leave. Some partners suffer from trauma bonding and or struggle with cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when a person's heart and mind are getting mixed thoughts and feelings. The heart and mind are not in sync. I was the one who parted ways in all 3 of my relationships with NPDs. Yeah, I mean, the thing is what can be quite hard is because of narcissists, they lack the empathy. You feel, and with their personality being so bad sometimes, you kind of feel a bit sorry for them sometimes. Don't ever feel sorry for them. In the end, you've got to leave them, right? But you kind of think, God, can you not see the type of person you are? Can you not see in years to come you're just going to be lonely and on your own, because you're never going to be able to hold down a proper relationship? You know, if you do, the person with you, God help them, because they would just be under your thumb, completely controlled by you, and their personality won't have a personality in the end. Because in order to be with a narcissist, you literally have to change the way you are to cope with them. If you stay in a relationship with them, it is horrible. You literally have to distance yourself from them, distance your feelings from them, become more like void of emotion yourself in order to deal with them, because the more you're emotional towards them, the more they prey on that. And so you have to become really emotionally distant from them. And it's like distancing yourself from yourself, because if you're a naturally emotional, kind, caring person who's got great sympathy and empathy for others, it's kind of like you have to hide that or dampen it down or get rid of it temporarily to cope with them. It's really not good. Anyway, this next bit is really interesting of what this person says. It's a female, by the way, who's a researcher for NPD and has 3 narcissistic partners. I will carry on with what they're saying. This is very interesting. Narcissists have people on the side to feed off while staying with a primary partner. So it's really interesting. It's so likely they are going to be seeing other people, not just having you. So they could be having affairs, having other people on the side. And again, this all boosts their ego. You know, a narcissist will be seen online a lot. So if you go on an asexual dating app or ordinary dating app, you know, you've got to be very careful, because obviously some people are genuine. You know, some asexuals, they love having pen pals or rovers online, no? But you got to be very careful when you read their profile and you talk to these people. If they've got no sympathy or empathy when they're talking to you in text, say you say something that's upsetting for you, they've got no empathy, run the other way fast, because they are likely an abuser or narcissist, right? So, and they will literally try and really attach emotionally to you and other people very quickly, so that they can literally use their power over you. And they might paint a picture that they left a relationship that was really bad when really they were the bad ones, and they will make out they're the victim when really they were the culprit. They were the one actually creating the problems in the first place of why the person left them. So you've got to be very, very careful of that. I'll carry on with what they're saying. But most narcissists will eventually disengage when they get bored, are restless when they are not getting enough attention / supply from their partner, or they find a new shiny object / partner. The disengagement happens after they devalue you. They devalue you due to the twisted false narrative that they believe about the person they think you are. You are either all good or all bad at any given time. This is splitting. So a partner is always on shifting sand with a narcissistic partner. See, you don't want to be with them. They're sketchy as anything, right? Okay, so this is a response to someone to those comments. This is so weird to read, because it's almost verbatim with my narcissistic ex, who would say to me about me, narcissistic ex would say to me about me. For the longest, I believed that my thinking that my boyfriend is a narcissist was my false narrative, and that I was the real narcissist. My head was so twisted up, he expertly projected onto me, and I happily took the blame. I let him define me. And this is so important, because they will literally make you feel like you're the crazy one, you're possessive, you're jealous, you're out of your mind, you're oversensitive, you're over emotional. They will literally say all this stuff to you. So you think you're just such a bad person, and you will just double question yourself all the time, and you will just like really, you could even end up hating yourself and thinking you're such a bad person because you believe what they say and the way they treat you. They're just sweet and innocent and you're the bad one, but it's not true. They're twisting your mind. They will tell you that you're twisting their mind as well. That's what's so bad about these abusers. Go, you're twisting my mind, and it's actually them that's doing it to you. But they want to say that to you, so they overpower you, make themselves overbearing towards you. So they really, really have like got you up against a brick wall without literally always doing it again, having you up against a brick wall, metaphorically speaking, but some of them obviously will get violent as well, which is another thing. Narcissists can get very, they believe that if they tell you to do something, they're the boss and you should just do it without question, because they've told you to do it and they're more important than anyone else. Even if they're not the boss, they'll act like the boss. I had a narcissist in my old job. 4 years I took of him bossing, well, the thing is I didn't let him boss me around a lot of the time and it really annoyed him. But then he got other managers involved who were taking his, they're very good at getting people to take their side, other people that don't know what they're like. So he used to do a lot of stuff slyly. He used to literally stare at me, follow me around, but no one else spotted him doing it usually, right? And he would come and say things to me while other people weren't there. But then later on, he got other managers involved and tried to make out that I was the unreasonable one. I wouldn't cooperate with him. And that he was doing stuff for the good of the company. So he wasn't even my boss. He wasn't even working for the same company as me, just in the same area. So anyway, this was the researchers' response to that person who said that they ended up with their head twisted because, the person projected that they were the bad ones onto them. The narcissist projected that onto them. So only the strongest victims will survive this type of relationship and move on powerfully. Victims are not weak and dumb. We are very strong, but sometimes our very strengths can work against us and our good traits are exploited by narcissistic personality disorders. People who've got that. Okay. So right. This is another person's point of view. After being in a relationship with a man who definitely has narcissistic personality disorder, it was not difficult to spot another one when I began dating them. Part of me questioned at first, but the longer I dated the new man, the more clear it became. He may have even been even more of a narcissist than the last one who had narcissistic personality disorder. I ended the relationship and now he's still chasing me to this day, which he bluntly told me he does not chase women. But a message just yesterday, he's asking me why I am busy and I can't meet with him. You could not have given a more precise description of the behavior of a true narc. And this is so important. They will literally tell you they're not doing something and do it, and it's just so bad. It's just really insecure. Yeah, they are insecure, very insecure people, but they prey on your fears as well, and it's just horrible. And they will literally tell you off for doing something that they do to you. So for example, they might be texting you like 10 times a day, but yet you're annoying them because you sent them a text when they didn't want it, and they will literally encroach on your life. So they will literally like, oh, I'm phoning you. They will phone you or try and video chat with you at maybe times they haven't even asked because they expect you to be there because they're bored, they're lonely, they've got nothing better to do with their life. So you're convenient to them. But when it's the opposite way round, you try and stick up for yourself, they'll show disinterest. So they'll like punish you for you actually being assertive and putting boundaries in place. They'll punish you. And they'll try and get away with stuff as well. Stuff that maybe not good in a relationship, they'll try and get away with and then blame you for being oversensitive, open emotional. And, what's wrong with you? You just can't deal with it. You know what I mean? And 1 minute they might be, like in the beginning, they might be all Mr. or Mrs. Charming, love you, everything's great. Or, you're beautiful and all the rest of it. And then they'll just stop doing that. And then you end up feeling like you're running around after them. You're the one giving them compliments all the time. And that's what they want. They want their ego constantly boosted. And if you tell them they're good looking, instead of being, oh, like, thank you, they'll be like, yeah, I know. because they really think they're the bee's knees God's gift. They think they're really good looking. You know, everyone will want to be with them. They're Mr. or Mrs. Hot, you know, and that's pretty much the way it is. And they've got this great big ego, you know, the size of King Kong, this huge, huge ego. And it is, they're very, you know, insecure people. They're people who, you know, sometimes they've had problems in their childhood. That's not a reason though to be like that. They have got to get help, you know, but they don't think they've got a problem. They do not think they've got a problem. I have to stress this. They don't think they've got a problem. So, you know, and they really need therapy, right? They need to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist or something, but usually they don't ever see them a problem, and they never get help because they don't think they need any help. It's everyone else that's wrong. Everyone else's responsibility for their life. Everything goes wrong is someone else's fault, you know? I hope that co-worker was fired. No, they weren't, Heather, actually. Sadly, the management took their side, the narcissist side. Because that's what they do, unfortunately. But you see, if you learn about narcissists, you'll notice they go high in power. So in a job, they go really high up because basically no one usually dare to question them. No one usually dare to say anything bad about them. And they act like a leader because they're literally that egotistical and bossy. And they like to tell everyone what to do and take charge because it's an ego thing rather than coming from a place of trying to help people. But they will literally, you know, if they haven't, if they're the people they're working with haven't done something, instead of them doing it, it'll be like, why didn't you do this? Why is this not done? Not because they'll have the opportunity to do it themselves, but they won't usually do it. This is what he was like. He wouldn't usually do the work. He'd try and get other people to do it, even though he might be the only person there for like an hour or so. He'll leave it for another person to do, and it'll be like, well, this isn't done. Why haven't you done it? Even though he could have done it, you know. And no, they weren't fired, unfortunately. I had to go to a meeting, and it was horrible. They sided with him, and they made excuses for him. And I said, you know, I knew, and I was so upset, and I knew that they were just, you know, like, as far as I was concerned, because he knew more than the management a lot of the time. You see, they like positions of power. He knew a lot of the management. He knew more because he'd been there longer, because he'd been there since the beginning, like me. So new management used to come and go, and he used to make himself an invaluable part of the store by everything he did. Right, he'd work, you know, like seem to be doing lots of work, right? And so, you know, really, I just thought, well, you're just, you know, because he knows more than you don't want to do exactly intimidation because he knows more than you, the management. You don't want to question him. And you don't want to question him as well because you're probably scared of him too, you know? And so even though he wasn't brown noser the way he sound, I think everyone else was brown nosing him as well, apart from me. But no, it was horrible. I was called to a meeting. My manager didn't back me up. His manager didn't back me up. They just turned it all on me, saying I was the one with the problem. And then I had to have an assessment from my company, and the assessor said there's nothing wrong with her. She's just being bullied. She's a very capable woman who can run her own businesses, and there's nothing wrong with her. It's actually the fact she's been bullied at work, and you should sort it out. So that's actually what happened, if you want to know. Yeah. So that was really difficult time in my life because I had to go back and face them and deal with a narcissist. But I learned kind of how to deal with it. So if you're ever in a situation where you have to work with a narcissist, which I was, when they're having a go at you in front of other people, but they're doing it in a really sly, nasty way, your initial reaction is to react back. I had to learn to do the opposite. It was really difficult for me. I had to learn to, like, when he's going off on one, to just not say anything to him. Sorry, though. Yeah, it was horrible time for me. That's why I'm glad I'm not working there anymore, really. Don't have to put up with him anymore. But yeah, he was weird, like a psychotic person. He would literally follow me around everywhere. So if I went off my department, ran the lighting, he would literally follow me all around the lighting behind me, like some perverted creep. It's horrible. You know, and a lot of people didn't even notice it. I talked to one of my colleagues who I got on really well with, and they did notice it in the end. But, you know, like, I would go off my department, walk all the way, you know, like take him for a walk. I mean, you had to laugh at that bit. I'm like, all right, let's just take you for a walk because you're obviously going to follow me wherever I go. So I would go around the sofas, I would go all around the lighting, and he would just come up behind me and follow me. And he would also try and every time I wanted to talk to someone, like my work colleagues, he would purposely try and get work for them. Um, to purposely try and get work for them to stop them talking to me, because he didn't want them talking to me. And he literally sent someone up to the stock room once there was nothing to do, because he just didn't want them talking to me. This is like real power trip. But he was like, I would say he's he's narcissistic and also a psycho as well. I mean, what person goes around following you all over a department that he doesn't need to be there? He's got customers and his own department to look after just for the sake of following me behind me. It's creepy, I'm a woman and I got this bloody old bloke following me. Sorry for swearing, but it's like, and he was really weird. He used to come like behind me and stuff and go in the cupboard on my department, rummage around in there, not really need anything, go and put the key back because it was in my drawer because we shared a cupboard, and walk off again. Really weird stuff he was doing. Really weird stuff. Sometimes you stalk people. Oh, right. Do you? I don't want a stalker. Oh, right. Well, I think I'll just remove you, because I don't want a stalker. Do you know what I mean? I don't want stalkers on my channel. Thank you. You can go elsewhere. So be very, very careful of these people. Some of them have got big ego and obviously admit they're a stalker. But there you go. So at least you know to just block them, get them rid of them out of your life, get the messages off your channel deleted from some person who's just egotistical. So I would say to him, what is his problem? Oh, what, to the guy at work? Yeah, but you don't speak to, he got me into trouble with other management. He did. So, you just don't. What you have to do is the opposite. You have to not engage with these people. So if you're dealing with a narcissist, you have to not engage with them because they love attention. Block them. Obviously, if they're on social media, if they're in your work, then you need to just have as little interaction with them as possible. And when they're talking to you, I learned this technique. You just put your hand behind your head and look around. So you try not to make eye contact. So the opposite of what you'd normally be taught to do in good communication skills. You normally look at someone in the eye, engage with them, talk to them. With a narcissist, you have to stop engagement with them and stop talking to them. So you'd like, put your arm behind your back, like look around, fidget a bit, so you do the opposite. So you don't engage in conversation. So you're not like boosting their ego up and stuff like that. And they absolutely love attention. So they will purposely try and get people to give them attention. They will purposely try anything they can to get under your skin, to be nasty to you and abusive and get one up on you. Yeah, sadly, because that's how meaningless their lives really are. Yet they will say it's your fault. So what you can do, right? Okay, so obviously, like I've said, like techniques like try not to engage in conversation. If they do something that's really bad, unfortunately, you're gonna have to like deal with it as best you can at the time. I used to stick up for myself, I used to tell a person where to go, but some of the time just silence is really powerful with them because they like attention. They like, you just like be really silent with them and it'll freak them out, and you kind of have to lower your tone with them. So obviously for someone like me, he hates the fact that I have a bubbly personality because it's the opposite of him, right? So I would still be bubbly to everyone else. I'd be like chatting and bubbly and knew he hated it. And I thought, I'm just being me. But when I was with him, I would like just be like, not engaging. In the end, I tried to not engage in conversation with him and not look at him in the eyes much and just, but it's horrible. You can't live like that. You just have to literally go and not be around them as much as possible because they were literally, like when you're around them, you can't, like I couldn't be bubbly with them because I needed to be a different way with them on purpose in order to deal with them, right? But it makes your personality smaller because that's what they want to do. They want to suck the life out of who you really are. They don't want a bubbly, sympathetic, energetic personality because, they're miserable, really, aren't they? And they want your life to be more miserable than theirs. So they will literally make you feel bad about the type of person you are. And you often find in relationships with narcissists and abusers that obviously your personality will change. You'll start feeling really low self-esteem. Like the person will make you feel bad about yourself. They'll make you feel bad about your job. They may make you feel inadequate around the housework, or inadequate around your career, or basically just inadequate in general. They'll start putting you down and belittling you, but it might be very subtle at first, and then they'll just keep doing it more and more and more. And excuse me, so they build this huge house, and it's hard. It becomes harder then to leave the person, because you're so emotionally drained and sucked of energy that, they'll then start saying, oh, well, you won't get anyone else. Who else would put up with you? Who else would put up with the way you are? And they mind manipulate you into you believing that vampires, that is, yeah. They manipulate you into believing that you're not worthy of love, that you're not worthy in life, that you're less than you really are, that no one will like you, because why would they? Why would anyone like you the way you are? And they will do that. And sadly, some of these narcissistic people will be the ones closest to you, will be your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner, might even be a family member. I mean, there's even been someone in my asexualized group, and they used to initially, I think they're still in my group actually, because I know who they are, I remember them, but they've got a narcissistic, I think it's mum and sister, and so it can be someone who's in your family really close to you, and they just lack empathy. They don't really see or appreciate you for who they are, for who you are. They put you down. They make you feel really small. You can never do anything right. You're never good enough in their eyes, or that's the way they treat you and make you feel small. And it's a very, very toxic environment for you to be in. So obviously, if it is a family member, it's very difficult, especially if you still live at home, because you've got to deal with that day in, day out. I know there's some other people that are going through some of that type of stuff, and they might emotionally manipulate you. They might blackmail you. And, they'll just really put you down. And you might find that if it's the silent game, I can do that. Yeah, Heather, it's good. The silent game's good. But obviously, you don't want to be living with a partner where you have to be silent all the time and have to be a certain way and not shine your light. So, like if I was, thank God I'm living on my own. But if I was living with a narcissist, if I was trying to be bubbly and bright, they wouldn't want that, because they try and put me down, and they try and make out, oh, well, no one wants you this way. You're too energetic, or you're too bubbly, you're too loud, you're too talkative. Oh God, you can talk for England. Oh, that's really bad, And so this is the type of things they'll come out with. They'll attack parts of my personality or your personality, that it actually makes you come alive. It's who you are. I'm an energetic, vibrant person who's very sensitive, kind, caring, right? But a narcissist will try and make me the opposite of that. And then they will blame me for having a certain type of personality that no one else can deal with or be with, because, hey, you're just too unique, aren't you? Well, how can anyone be with you, type thing, But someone who's loving, kind, caring, and a healthy relationship, they will love me for all my quirks. They will love me being an energetic, vibrant person. Be like, my God, when I see her, it's like, whoa, I feel so great, because she's got all this energy, and I'm feeling the energetic vibe, and it's much better than being with someone who's negative and down, and when I go to her, I just feel this vibrancy, and she's beaming, and she's lovely, and oh my God, and she really listens to me. She's really attentive to me, and she's very sensitive to my needs, and and I just feel, kind of crazy over her in a nice way. And, so this is a difference between someone who would be would be healthily loving me, caring about me, feeling about me, and someone who would be treating me like dirt, making me feel really small. I'm trying to give you sort of examples so you can see the difference in behavior, from someone who's loving, caring, giving, sharing towards you, to someone who's literally trying to suck the life out of you and blame you for everything in their life and make you feel small because it makes them feel better with their huge ego, and it makes you feel like something's wrong with you when it isn't. I do have a unique personality, but I tell you what, the right person will love that about me. They'll be like, God, you're a breath of fresh air. Do you know what I mean? And I'm happy loving myself right now. I'm so happy the way I, with my life. And this is what I want to go on to now before before the video ends in a little bit, I want to go on to how to deal with this, how to deal with the aftermath. So obviously, before you deal with the aftermath, you have to get rid of the person, right? You cannot categorically stay with this person, right? I know you might stay with them for a while. I know you might stay with them longer than you should. But you categorically cannot spend the rest of your life with this person. Seriously, they will suck the life and soul out of you. They will make you this small. You will not know what yourself anymore. You won't know who you are. You'll probably hate yourself because you'll feel like you're this horrible monster of a person that they make you believe you are, and make you feel so like you're so nasty and horrible that no one will want you, no one will care about you, and they'll just basically treat you like dirt, right? And they'll just suck everything out of you. You'll have a lack of self-confidence, a lack of self-esteem. You just, and other people might side with this person. That's what's so horrible. It's narcissistics and abusers. They're very good at covering up. And so to the actual person, people around them, they might be, like I said, carefree, jolly, laid back, happy-go-lucky. Oh, look at him or look at her. Aren't they the life and soul of the party for a bit, because they love the attention, right? And they might seem very charming, right? And have a way with words, be a very smooth talker. But when it comes to actually being in a relationship with them and spending lots of time with them, or even if it's, it could be a platonic relationship, right? It could be like you thinking about moving in with this person, right? As a buddy, right? Or as housemate, flat share, right? You got to be so careful because it will lead to a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, and it could lead to a bad situation that you can't get out of. Because once you become financially dependent on them, because they're paying half the mortgage, the bills or whatever, it's very damaging because you're literally in a situation where this person's making you feel so small, you can't even get out of the situation because you don't know where you're coming and going. You feel like everyone will hate you. You've got no friends left probably because they will have literally probably told you not to have friends. So, there's a very big difference between being in a relationship with someone who says they're not happy with something. They come to you, they say, I'm not happy about this. This is how I feel about it. What can we do about it? What compromise can we cut? What someone telling you, you're not seeing that person, you're not going there, you're not wearing that outfit, you're not doing that. There's a very big difference. If someone's blatantly telling you who to see, who not to see, what to do, what not to do, and they're using the words, don't do that. Like, no, that, there's a very difference. A good, healthy, happy relationship should be consultative. So obviously, your partner will upset you sometimes. It's a given, right? But you should be able to discuss your upset without them blaming you as well. Like if you're getting upset about something and they're having to go at you for being upset, but they're the ones who upset you in the first place, that's also a sign of narcissistic and abuser, right? Because they will upset you, maybe directly or indirectly. And, and you're upset about something, you're naturally feeling upset, right? You might just be feeling upset. They're making you cry, but yet they can't understand why you're crying. Like either they can't understand you're crying. What's the big deal? I don't get it. Why are you being so emotional? Or they'll start blaming you for the fact you're crying and basically say it's your own fault in some way or other, And so they literally will twist things around. Like I love living on my own. I don't want to live with a person, right? When I lived with a person before, it was very bad for me. I'm not saying that everyone's like that, but I actually love the house I live in right here, right now, because I actually do have other people in the house. I live in the middle of the house. So it's a very healthy situation for me to be in. It's like I'm not completely in a house all on my own, but I am in my flat all on my own because my housemates don't really talk to me. We all have our own complete separate lives and really respect each other's spaces and literally cut off from each other. So very much in our own little worlds. But I know I have the safety of knowing someone's nearly always in the house, right? If I go away on holiday, I'm not leaving it with like 1 week where no one's in the house, you know what I mean? And things can be taken. There's always someone here usually. And so when we do get on well, when we need to speak to each other. So it's very good. So, the main thing is you get away from the narcissist. You can't be with a narcissist and abuser forever. I was in abusive relationships for years of my life, and believe me, nothing's ever their fault. Literally nothing's ever their fault. And they can get very violent, very aggressive, very threatening, punch walls, and all sorts of abusers can. They can have aggressive outbursts. You might find the narcissist has that, or abusers in general. Some of the traits are when they scream and they put their hands up to their head, if they start punching walls, just because they haven't punched you yet, what do you think your life's going to be like with them? They go to punch the walls, but yeah, that could be your face or your head splattered everywhere. You know what I mean? They can be very physically threatening. They could grab a part of your body, your neck, your arm, or anything. I was also taught, like in the class I went to for 3 months, that no one should be grabbing you, poking you, prodding you. There should be none of that, because that's classed as aggression. And a lot of people wouldn't think that, right? So when you see a couple, for example, in the street, and the guy goes to grab, and I'm not talking about holding hands, that's fine. I'm talking about when the guy grabs, I'm just talking this for example, obviously it could be with a woman. When a guy grabs the woman's wrist for something, say they're having a little bit of an argument or something, goes to grab their wrist, or say they're not having an argument, say he just goes to grab her or starts poking her, that's actually classed as abuse, right? Because it's unwanted physical contact in an aggressive way, even though it might seem harmless. And so, I know there's some asexuals that are into BDSM. I personally could never deal with that, because to me, I personally believe that's very abusive, right? Especially when I've done an abuse course for 3 months and they're all about even, like grabbing, poking, prodding is classed as abuse, because you're physically doing aggressive stuff, right? It's very subtle, but you can tell the people when you're out. Like, I've been to theme parks, for example. Theme parks are great, right? And I've seen guys that have grabbed hold of their woman's wrist, that have grabbed hold of their neck and stuff like this. It's a very big sign of aggression. I've never done anything to do with BDSM, and I never want to, right? I'm personally not comfortable with any form of that type of stuff whatsoever. To me, personally, I know loads of people would disagree with me or into that. Personally, I find that very abusive. I find that very abusive, to let someone control you and dominate you with physical force and stuff like that. It's horrible to me. It's very abusive. That's what I really think, And I know loads of people will disagree with me, and they'll say that they agree to it, and they like that type of thing. Each to their own. But personally, I would never ever get involved in something. I don't think it's a healthy thing, to be honest. That's my personal take on it, right? I just don't think it's healthy. I find it very abusive and controlling, if I'm really, really honest. I don't like that at all, right? And I personally, I've met asexual guys that want a dominatrix, right? I met one online a few weeks ago, less than a few weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me, oh yeah, but I want a dominatrix, even though I'm asexual. But to be honest, like, I'm more dominant than submissive, I'll tell you that now. But I don't really feel like I want to dominate a guy like that, because I feel that's like a control abuse thing, and I don't want to be trying to abuse or control anyone. I wouldn't like it if they did that to me, so I would feel bad doing that with them, even though they say they want it, because I'm like, are you crazy? Why would you want me to do that to you? I mean, I think there's a difference between being dominant in the bedroom, like, like with kissing and cuddling, maybe that type of thing, if they want you to do that, then actually, like tying people up or making them beg for things on the floor and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And so, but there's like some of that, maybe even be like more acceptable. But I know, like, I've known a person who was into BDSM who wasn't asexual at my old job, and they used to have pictures of the chains and stuff around their hands, and I used to see them come in with their neck bruised and stuff from the rings they've had around their neck, and I just don't like stuff like that. So personally, any guy or person that starts to talk about anything to do with abuse, even if they, or anything to do with like anything with grabbing my arm or grabbing my neck or anything like that, I would literally want to run a mile from. I would know they would likely turn out to be aggressive towards me. And it's especially if someone grabs your arm or wrist, depends the way you do it. Obviously, if you're going to fall down, you're going to have a fall in the road, then that's different. But if they're just doing it for doing its sake, be very, very careful about stuff like this. So you just got to keep watching out for the signs. So what you should do is just get away from them as much as you can. And if you've got a friend or family member that may take you in for a while at their place, do it, because you have to get away from this narcissistic abuser. It's no good. You have to get away, and the sooner the better. So what do you do after you say you move away from this person? Say you split up with them, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, whatever, or you move out, and you're having to deal with the aftermath. What you're going to do then? Okay, So first of all, you have to understand that, if you come across a narcissist, if you start looking for the patterns, don't ignore them, get more wiser, and don't pay attention to your friends who might say this person's a really nice person, why are you leaving them, right? You know the damn truth, so you go, right? And don't care what they say. And if they're real true friends, they should be supporting you anyway, right? They should be supporting you. So try and find friends and people around you that will support you and help get you out of that relationship as quickly as feasibly possible. If they can't see it, if they're blinded to reality because they don't want to acknowledge it, which some people do, they don't want to acknowledge it because maybe they have fun with that person socializing, because like I said, maybe that person's the life and soul of the party because they're a charmer. Behind closed doors, they're very different, so they don't want to admit what they're like because they'll lose that sociality with them, they'll lose that bit of fun with that person. They're being very selfish, really, when they're doing that. They're not actually thinking of you. They're just thinking of themselves, and they don't want to believe something that's blatantly in front of their faces. But some people don't even see the signs. They can be like multiple people that don't see the signs because they maybe they've been abused before and they don't know the signs to look for. They keep getting back with abusers themselves, or maybe they just don't think what they're doing is abusive because maybe they're a bit abusive themselves, or maybe they just are blinded to reality. They don't understand the signs to look for. They're blinded to reality. So it can be for a number of reasons, but it doesn't matter how long you've been with a person, where it's a couple of weeks or 7 years. You need to get out of that situation because they will crush your soul. They will annihilate it, right? So when you leave the person, right, if say you found out quite early on that they are narcissistic, right? You've been with narcissists before, you recognize they're a narcissist, you get the heck out of there. But maybe this person did show you this loving, caring side to them at first, because this is what they tend to do. I have to say, abusers do this a lot. They will act like Mr. Charming, but wouldn't melt him out. They might do a lot of stuff for you. So I've had abusive exes where when I first got with them, or before I got with them, they will literally do anything for me. They will cook for me. They will clean for me. They will, I don't know, tie my shoelaces for me. They will literally massage me. They will do so much for me, right? Because they are trying to get with me. They want me to be in their control, right? So they will start doing stuff that makes me think they're a really good person, right? Like, oh my God, this person's great. They're doing all this for me. But it's because it's an ulterior motive. It's not because they really, and they won't keep it up. They will not keep it up. And when you start asking them to do it, they won't do it because you've asked them to usually. And they'll be like, why can't you do it yourself? You lazy or something like that. Or they'll ignore your requests. Unless they're getting something out of it themselves. For example, sexual pleasure, if you're asking them to do something, But a lot, and it's playing to their ego, If it's playing to their ego, they might do it. But a lot of the time, they'll start off looking like they're Mr. Perfect, or Miss Perfect. Like they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things, they're going above and beyond to make you feel special and great. And they will just lose interest in you, disengage with you, maybe not answer your text messages, maybe not call you like they used to, maybe like they don't answer you, you're trying to like communicate with them and have a conversation and they just don't do it, they don't respond back to you properly, you can't solve any problems, and they will just like be really distant from you, right? And until they want something, like when they want attention on them, then it'll be all like, well, I'm messaging you now, you're not messaging me back, what's going on? And they'll blame you for not messaging back when they have like literally shown disinterest in you, right? And so it's a lot of mind games they play, a lot of mind games. And so when you split up with this person, you might have had a narcissistic boyfriend or girlfriend in the past, and then all of a sudden you get into a relationship with someone and then you realize they're like that, and it can be very painful because you might have fallen in love with the person you thought they were at the beginning. And this is what you can do with an abuser, whether they're narcissistic or not. Usually quite a lot of abusers, or most of them in my experience, are usually narcissistic or well. But abusers will literally lull you into this false sense of security, making you feel like they were really special and great, and they will literally rip the rug out and you'll be like, what the hell went on? And so they'll behave in a certain way that's all charming and wonderful, ideal boyfriend or girlfriend material, and then all of a sudden they'll be the opposite. You'll be like, what the hell happened? What did I do? And you'll start blaming yourself, and really it's not your fault, it's their fault. And they'll start literally changing. before your eyes, and you can be like, what have I done? What's gone on? What's gone wrong? And it's not you, it's them. And it's them showing their true colours and their true behaviour, because a narcissist can't keep it up. They can't keep their good persona up because they're not good. Do you know what I mean? Not behind closed doors. And that's an indication if they're abusive to you, is that they're nice to everyone else in public, but behind closed doors, they're screaming at you, they're arguing with you, they're putting you down, they're belittling with you, they're nasty to you, they might be punching the wall, they might be screaming and holding their hands to their head, they might be slapping their heads. It's just like real aggression they're showing towards you, or they're expressing every time that they can't deal with something, like you're emotional about something, they can't deal with it because they lack empathy, they don't know how to deal with emotions. So instead of them being kind and caring and saying, let's talk about this, tell me how you're feeling, they will literally flare up, get angry with you because they can't deal with it, and the attention's not on them anyway, and they just, they can't handle someone who's emotional, because it's the opposite of what they are. They're not emotional, they're not empathetic. And so it can be really, really upsetting. So when you split up from them, you can be upset, you can be hurt, you can be in pain, you can be angry with them, you can be angry with them for a long time. You have to, as soon as you can, just calm and try and let this person go. And if they've been Mr. Charming or Mrs. Charming when you first met them, then that can be kind of hard, because you can always be thinking, I want that back again. That was good. That felt really nice. That felt so right. They felt like the ideal person for me. And you can always be like looking back all the time of what you did have. I was with an abuser for, what was it, 7.5 years, no, 8.5 years in total. 8.5 years, was it? Yeah. Yes, because I was with them for a year, split up, and then I was with them for, I think it was 7.5 years. It was a long time anyway, a very long time. I think it was 8.5 years in total. It was a long time anyway. And I shouldn't have got back with them, but I did. And I thought they changed, and they changed for about 3 weeks, and then were worse than they were ever, and it's very difficult for me to get out of that, because I was very financially dependent on the person as well as emotionally, and they made me feel, they cut me off from all my friends. They made me feel like I wouldn't get anyone else. And actually they weren't that bothered about, they didn't have like sex all the time with me. And I was quite happy. So I kind of stayed with them because I thought I couldn't get another person who wouldn't have sex with me, very often, or was not as often as other people would. So, I stayed with them for wrong reasons, and obviously for the fact, I did have, I was in LOVE with them, and I think that's what's so heartbreaking, is I always thought they go back to the person I first met. Like the first few months being with them was like great, and then it just all went, and I always thought I could save them as well. Like, don't think you can save an abuser, don't think you can change them, that it's not your problem, they are not yours to change or save, right? You might feel sorry, you might be like, oh well, they've got this narcissistic personality disorder, I've got to help them, because you feel sorry for them, because you're empathetic. They lack no empathy. They don't think they've got a problem. They're not going to get help, right? If you want to know, the best thing to do for them is leave them. If they genuinely care about you, and they really want to change, then let them go. Let them get therapy. Let them sort their lives out. Give them space, because you don't have to be a part of that, because they're not really going to change. I can tell you that they usually, no narcissists change, because they do not think they've got a problem, and they were not going to have therapy over a prolonged period of time to change who they are. They just won't do it, because they don't think there's anything wrong with them. They're quite happy being that way and making other people's lives miserable, So anyway, so you've got to, like when you split up with them, you've got to give yourself time to grieve. You might have to think, well, I can love them for a while, even though I know they're nasty and horrible and they're not good people. Like if you're a compassionate, caring person, you probably saw some good in them at some point, right? Like abusers as well, they can be very, very good at buying you stuff, right? One of my exes, he used to be buying me gifts all the time. Like, I like gifts, right? Gift therapy, I used to call it. I like gifts. But they were being shite to me, excuse my language, behind closed doors, even though they're buying me tons of gifts. So some of the, like I had a friend, and her partner for years was a drunkard. He used to get very verbally abusive and aggressive. And, he used to be showing her gifts when he was sober, telling her how wonderful she was, That's another form of an abuser, Another different, not necessarily a narcissist, but someone who's very, very abusive, And so they could be showering you with gifts and stuff. one minute, and then laying into you and showing you aggressive behavior the next. And that's what an abuser does. They're up and down the whole time. So you're in fight or flight mode, not knowing whether to trust them for this particular night, or whether you're going to get your head smashed in, or whether you're going to, all your personality is going to disappear because they're going to say something nasty to you, and whatever you do is not right. You know what I mean? So you've got to be so careful. So you have to get away from these people. You have to understand that you could be emotionally craving them when you split up with them. You could be emotionally craving them because you're craving them for what they did give you in the first place, for the good bits that you saw in them, even if overall they're horrible to you. Obviously other people think they're nice sometimes because they see the social side and the persona that they portray. So in one point you would have seen that, and you would have seen some good qualities in them, especially if you're a kind, caring, sympathetic, empathetic person yourself. You will see good traits in them, even if a lot of what they are like is really bad for you, because you'll care about them. And you might even think, God, I can, if I stay with them, they'll become a better person. They'll become a better version of themselves. I can help them. But stop trying to save them. You need to save yourself and get out of there. There's plenty of other people that can love you, and you can love yourself and leave them. The best thing to do is leave them, because they're not going to change. And if you stay with them, the bad behavior will just carry on and carry on. And it'll be just like telling them, that's fine. Treat me like dirt. Treat other women like dirt, or other guys like dirt that come along. It's fine, because I'll just keep staying with you, and that's okay behavior. That's what you're telling them by staying with them, because they don't realize they have a problem, and 9 times out of 10, even if you told them they did, they wouldn't seek help and get therapy over a number of years. Do you know what I mean? To really solve the issue, which is what they need. So, you have to emotionally detach from them as much as possible. But at the beginning, you'll be going through grief because, you'll have lost that person. Even though they were bad, there's probably some things you did like about them. You saw some good in them, right? You saw some good and happy times you had with them, right? It might not have all been bad times, right? Might be some times when you felt great with them, right? And you kind of hold on to that. And that's why you usually hold on to the person. You have to let them go. You have to detach from them, because it's best for you and for them, because they're never going to learn that it's bad behavior, are they? And so, you even though you've split up with them, you might still be loving them. You might be still feeling for them. You might be still physically attracted to them. You have to block them out of your life. Don't be friends with them anymore. You need to completely cut off, because they will keep you dangling on a shoestring. Stop being the public persona of Mr. or Mrs. Charming again. And they just want you dangling there for their ego, to make them feel good, and so that you're on the sideline, so that if they get a new partner, they can keep you on the sideline and go back to you if their partner's not working out, or they can have you there to come to when something the partner does they don't like, because really they're narcissistic or abusive, and they're just trying to put their partner down, and the partner's not making them feel, the partner's not doing whatever they want them to do, or they just want a couple of people on the go at the same time for their ego. Do you know what I mean? So you have to leave, and then you have to understand there's a grieving process, right? You might still love them, you might still have feelings for them, you might still have a compassion and caring and kind for them, because you are that type of person, right? They prey on that. But there's nothing wrong with you being that type of person. It's just that it's wrong for you to stay with a person who doesn't appreciate that about you, who doesn't value that, who preys on it like a vulture and uses it against you, basically. They use your own personality and kindness and caringness against you and your empathy, right? So you have to leave that person. You have to understand that you might be very emotionally upset and crying. You might feel lonely a bit, because they might, you might feel a little bit of a void, like they might have filled your life up quite considerably at the beginning, because they were showing this wonderful life and they were giving you all this stuff. So all of a sudden it's not there anymore. They just stopped being like that. They were devoid of emotion. They just cut off from you. They just changed. And so you always are thinking, well, why did they change? What did I do wrong? Because you'll usually blame yourself, which you shouldn't do. And then you'll be trying to think back to when the good times were, maybe. And you might try to be reliving them and thinking, well, if only we could talk and we could work this out. But there is no talking and reasoning with this type of person, because they've treated you so badly. If you go back to them, they will just do it more and more and more and more. Believe me, they will use you like a doormat. And you will be that small that you won't even recognize yourself anymore. You might start feeling angry towards them and even expressing anger towards them, because they've just pushed you so far in the end. And then you become a former version of yourself you never even knew existed. You might start being horrible back to them, because they give you, they put you in the position emotionally and vulnerably, like they might attack you at any minute. So you got to kind of attack back before they do and stuff like that. It's a very, very bad situation to be in. So you need to leave it. And then you need to know that you might have some grief, but it's only temporary. You know, you'll get over it. You've got over worse things. You've got over probably family members who've died. You've got over friends that have probably gone to another country. Or, you know, you've got over things, maybe you've been bullied at school, you've got over that. You will get through it. You know, you'll get through it. You'll rise again. You'll be stronger because of it, even though you don't feel like it right now, if you just split up them. And everything will be fine. It's only temporary. And what we focus on expands. So the more we focus on the fact that person's gone from our life, even though we might have left them ourselves, the more we focus on what we don't have anymore when they were there, that they used to give to us, the more we will kind of crave that back in some way. And the more we will try and fathom out in our mind how we could possibly get that back. And the more that we'll be living in the past, you know? So we kind of need to break free of that. And it's hard. It's not an easy task, you know? It's not even easy for me to do. You know, I do get emotionally attached to people quickly, but I know that I have the capacity to move on quicker than I used to. I now have the capacity to be able to see spot a narcissist or abuser much early on, to think, right, I'm just going to leave this person because they're no good for me, right? They're no good for me. However much I feel for them, magnetic pull or whatever, they're no good for me, and I'll leave, right? Because I have the ability to do that. But I didn't have that before, you know. I didn't have that power, energy, and courage within me. And it does take courage to do that, you know. But it's for your best. You know, in your heart of hearts, you can't stay in that environment forever. It's not healthy for you, and you'll just never live your life. You know, life is so short, and there are thousands of people that will love you and, you know, like you. And there's, you know, even if you just get a handful of close friends that really care about you and love you for who you are, then that's going to be worth its weight in gold than staying with this loser who can't even give you what you want, who's nasty to you, putting you down, and really has not got your best interests at heart, but their own, you know. But you have to just know that you'll be emotional for a while and upset, but you have to try and stop thinking that way and try and focus on the future, you know. So what I say is, like, channel that energy. Like, you might be feeling really upset, really angry. Like, I felt angry. Like, how the hell can you do that? How the hell can one week you be so like loving all over me like a rash, like I really love you, like sending me all love hearts and stickers, constantly playing love songs to me. I've had this from a couple of guys, not just one, you know, constantly playing love songs in private messaging, constantly messaging me, pursuing me, being really interested in me, like I'm the bee's knees, everything to them. And then all of a sudden the next week they're like disinterested, they don't want to know, they're pushing me away, they're saying things about me that's nasty, making me feel bad about myself. And, you know, and they're just like, you know, basically going really distant from me, and like they don't even care about me anymore, you know. And this is a complete shift in behavior. And so you're like, what the hell went on? You know, and you can beat yourself up for it, but don't, you know, you just know that this time will pass. You know, you might be still really angry. Like, how the hell can you do that to me? What did you do? Did you just play a game with me? You know, did you just be like that for a week, and then all of a sudden, because you got what you want out of me, you're just off with someone else, for example, and you just drop me? You know, what happened? How can you be so horrible? You know, and some of these people that are abusers and controllers as well, they will have controlling parents or relatives or family members or friends themselves sometimes. You know, I've been with people in the past where, particularly one guy, and, you know, literally his mum was getting him to do stuff behind my back. His mum hated me for no apparent reason other than I was with her son. And, you know, and she used to be getting him to do like bad things, like go and smoke and stuff that she knew I hated. And, you know, like, it's just really bad, you know. And he used to be like a mummy's boy, and she's very controlling over him. And he used to do whatever she said, you know, and he just couldn't see that she was no good for him as his own mother. And it caused a lot of issues with me and him. And it's just horrible. So I you know, I don't recommend getting a mummy's boy if you can help it. You know, you need someone who's got their own mind and independent, you know, and can speak and think for themselves. But often, you know, they will sometimes have someone in their own family or friends or environment that is controlling. And then they kind of like, they are the controlling ones as well, you know. So don't give them excuses. You know, you might fathom out a bit more about why they're like the way they are. They might have had childhood trauma or something, but it's no excuse to treat you that way. There's loads of people that have had childhood trauma that don't behave that way towards you. You know, I've got people who I'm friends with who have severe mental health issues, but they're still nice to me, they're still kind to me, they're still caring towards me, they still don't get angry or aggressive towards me, you know? And that's the difference. You get some people that have got mental health problems that they won't harm a fly, they'll be really kind and caring. Then you get other people that blame their behavior on their mental health or use that as an excuse for bad behavior. It's not an excuse for bad behavior. If some people have got the same problem, yeah, one person's really nice to me, the next person treats me like dirt, you know, it's they're just using an excuse. Some people can use their mental health as an excuse for treating people really badly. I got friends with mental health problems, and those of them are really lovely people. Do you know what I mean? But there's certain other people that are got mental health problems that use it to advantage. They're very controlling, very manipulative, you know, and don't think they're just sweet and innocent because they've got some mental health issue, because they're not all like that. Some of them use it to their advantage and they manipulate you on purpose. I've had an employee like that. He was in this interview. He was like, I suffer depression and stuff like that, I think he said. But I didn't really, no, in an interview, he didn't make out much about himself. And then 3 months later, depression. I'm thinking, right, depression's depression, isn't it, right? And then he starts saying, oh, yeah, I burn trees down and I do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh, my God. I had to leave because of him and situations in the end. And then I found out, what was it, a year or two later, that he went and punched someone in the face. Like, instantly sacked him. So, you know, and I knew what he's like, and the other people couldn't see what he's really like. So yeah, it's very interesting when you get to find out these traits and patterns, because, you know, like, I even know someone who I considered a friend, not on, they're not watching this channel like tonight, as far as I know. But, you know, like, I've got my best friends that are definitely my best friends, kind, caring people, right? But there is a friend, I'm not going to say too much. There's a person I considered a friend. I guess I don't talk to them as much. But yeah, they've got some narcissistic traits, I think. And I was quite shocked. I don't want to say that about them because I actually like them quite a bit in some ways, but I think they got some narcissistic traits. Lacking empathy being one major one, and literally having no sympathy for anything I say. And yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, oh, I thought you were a really nice person, but maybe you're not so nice after all. I'm not talking about my best friends who watch this channel, you know, because they know who they are and they're gorgeous and I love them to bits. I'm talking about another friend I'm not so close to anymore. You know, I'm not going to say who it is. But it's like, that's not good. Not good. You know, like, I thought they were a good person, but, you know, it's like, I thought they were sympathetic or empathetic, but now I kind of don't see them empathetic at all anymore. Nothing. Diddly squat. It's really weird. But anyway, that's diversifying, isn't it? Going off the point. But yeah, I think also you've got to channel your energy, right? So when you've left a person who's narcissistic or abusive, you very much have to fill up your cup, as it were. So you have to get back to doing hobbies and interests that really fulfill you. You have to get back to being around friends and family who care about you. You have to very much fill up your cup. You have to build your self-esteem up, your self-worth, your self-confidence again, because if you've been with a narcissist, you know, they will literally lower your self-confidence, lower your self-esteem. They will make you feel more paranoid on purpose, you know, and they will, like, literally try and pull the rug from underneath your feet so you feel more unstable, and you will be less trusting of people, and rightly so, you know. You'll be far less trusting of people. So the last thing you want to do is to go from that relationship into another relationship, because it's likely that the person you next meet will be another narcissist or abuser, because you're kind of attracting that type of thing, because you're still thinking about the abuse that you underwent or the change that this person is. And because you're in that vibrational kind of energy frequency of negativity, because you're upset, you're in pain, you're hurt, you'll likely attract someone who's going to use that to their advantage against you if you're not careful. So don't go from that relationship with a narcissist to finding someone who seems really maybe initially understanding, maybe a bit sympathetic or not, as the case might be, but, you know, who seems really interested in you for their own means. I mean, usually it probably won't be that empathetic. They'll probably just be like, oh, I'll listen to you because it boosts their ego up, but you're likely to be able to get into a bad relationship again. So don't do that. Have time out, plow your energies into your hobbies, your interests. Make sure you see friends, because that'll make you feel good about yourself. People who support you, who are kind and caring towards you, who love your personality and love you for who you are. Be around those type of people. Use the energy that you feel. So say if you feel anger towards this person because they've really betrayed you, really, maybe they've gone off with someone else, or maybe they've just betrayed your trust really badly because they were lovely and wonderful and nice to you at one point. Now they're really horrible to you and demeaning and putting you down and, like making you feel really small about yourself. Just take time out from that. But if you're angry and upset, just use that energy as a form of motivation for getting your projects and stuff done. So say you've had a project they put off a while because you're with that person, you spend a lot of time and energy maybe with them, on them, or you're trying to preserve your own because they're zapping your own, and now you've got a chance to spend time by yourself. Use that sort of anger to fuel you doing stuff and propelling you forward in your life. So it's not good to hold on to anger, right? You need to dispel it as soon as possible, because the more you get angry, the more it wells up inside you, the more it can be a bad energy, right? You don't want that, but you could use it to your advantage in the meantime by thinking, right, there's this project I haven't done hardly any to, and I'm going to give myself like 5 days and I'm just going to do everything and I'm going to get it done no matter what. And I'm so angry right now, and I'm so angry, but I'm going to use this angry energy to fuel my fire and to get that project done and to just work night and day on it for 5 days solid and just cut off from everyone and do my own thing and be in my own zone and really enjoy it. And so you can use that sort of more aggressive, angry energy you're feeling towards the situation and pain that you're in, towards the greater good in your life. So if you can't directly get rid of that angriness at the moment that you feel, like, you channel it in a really good way. And it's perfectly fine for you to be angry. Like, anyone can be angry even in a relationship, right? But it's the way you express it. If you've got a narcissist or abuser, the way they'll express their anger is through and it'll be like, you'll never know if they could hit you one day. You'll never know if the aggressive outburst could be towards you. And by the way, if you're with anyone who starts having aggressive outbursts, you just leave them. They're aggressive, they're an abuser. A person who is a nice person who gets angry, they might have arguments with you, but they'll do it in a different way. They won't start swearing at you, shouting at you in the street, putting you down, making you feel so small, because that's what abusers do. They will talk to you, and like a really good person will put that stuff like their hand on the hurt and say, I'm really hurt now. I'm really angry. Now I'm feeling really angry because of this, that, and the other. This is how, because your actions are making me feel this, or because this has happened. This is how I'm feeling. But no one's perfect. Sometimes people do get angry, but like, people who are abusers will constantly say stuff like F off to you. They will shout at you in the street loud as they can to make you look like you're the one who's being nasty to them. So they overpower you. So everyone in the street thinks it's your fault and stuff like this. They might call you names in public, like bitch or bastard, excuse my language, and tell you to F off. And so the whole street can hear them. They want attention. The abuser wants people to think that they're the ones being abused, that they're the victims, when really you are. And so you have to understand, though, that you have to also understand, for the grieving process and for when you start with them, you have to take responsibility of the fact you were with that person, right? Which is really hard to do sometimes, right? I hold my hand up to say every person who has abused me, I did choose to be in a relationship with them. Even though it's hard to say that, because obviously, like, why would I choose to be with an abuser? I didn't know they're abusive at the time, right? But I chose to be with them, right? And if I stayed with them, it was still, like, it's hard when it was financial. I couldn't really get out of it very easily because of financial. But, there are things you can do, aren't there? And you have to hold your hands up and say, hey, I was responsible for choosing to be with that person. Because by taking responsibility for your own actions and not blaming them, it's kind of easier to leave them as well, because it's like, it's your responsibility now to leave them. It's your choice to leave them. You're empowering yourself back. You must take responsibility for your own actions, because they won't. You know, if you're not taking responsibility for yourself in your life, if you're just thinking everything happens to you, no. Now, I'm completely responsible for myself. I got into relationships with people who are abusive and narcissistic. Doesn't mean to say they were good for me, doesn't mean to say it was a good decision I made, doesn't mean to say it's right for me, doesn't mean to say it's something I'm proud of. But I'm telling you that I chose that, didn't I? I was the one who said yes to them in the first place. It happened, right? I said yes. I got in a relationship with them. So I hold my hands up. So you have to, part of the grieving process and getting over things and not being like narcissistic or abusive or whatever, or blaming other people, is to literally say, yes, I chose to be that person. I didn't choose to be abused by that person. I didn't know they were going to be like that, but I chose to be that. And, you know, obviously you might have been in with them for years and then you're staying with them for years, which is a choice a lot of the time. But some people say no, it's not a choice because financial circumstances, which makes it harder. It does. I'm sympathetic towards that, you know. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own actions, and we have to take responsibility for that, you know. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, you know. I make mistakes or I learn, but I try not to think of these things as mistakes. I try to think of them as lessons we learn from, and that's what you've got to do. Every relationship, even if it's bad, you know, you have to think everything happens for a reason, right? It might be that you got into a relationship with a person that's really bad for you, but like when you leave them, something really great happens. So I came to this place I'm living now, right? I've been here for 14 and a half years. And I moved here to get away from my abusive ex of 8.5 years. And I have never, ever, you know, like since 2011 when we split up, I've never gone back to him, right? I was living here on my own when I actually got back with him. So I split up with him. We split up for like 6 months, and then I got back with him for another 7 years. And you know, 7.5 years of mental prison and emotional torture, basically. So you know, I shouldn't have got back with them, but I did. But I actually didn't live with them. I'd already moved here. So after about 1.5 years, when we first split up, I moved here. And it was the first place I ever saw in the newspaper, first place that ever took my eye. My dad came with me, loved it as soon as I saw it, and I moved in. I've never looked back. I love this place. You know, I rent, but I absolutely love this house. I love this flat. I love living here. I am truly, truly blessed. Now, had I not left that person, you know, left there living with them, had I not been with that person, left living with them, I wouldn't be here right now. I might be in some really horrible, dodgy house right now if I hadn't have like left that particular person and gone to live on my own. You know, I could have, something else could have gone wrong in my life, or something else could have happened. You know, it's like I was with the heterosexual guy in 2017. He ended up being a psycho. If you don't know the story, the true story, you know, to cut a very long story short, I was at a theme park with him. We were both in separate hotel rooms, and there was a nightclub, Ministry of Sound event on. Both we went to where he wasn't good from the moment we first got there, because it was like, if we split up, you know, this is my, you know, I'll meet you back here. So he was like really distant from me, and then he practically wasn't really paying much attention. He was busy looking at other women. And so, and anyway, he ended up being a psycho because they confiscated a blade they found on him, right? That's a real psycho, someone who's got a blade on them. And I'm going, well, who are you going to kill with that? And they go, not you. That is a real psychotic person, right? Really dangerous person, right? And so you're like, oh my God, like, what can I have taken from that situation? One is I knew how to do, I had to go back on the car with this person in the hotel and see them the next day. So one is I dealt with the person. The best way I know how by just not speaking to them when they had that blade on them. Just don't talk to them. You know, you literally have to self-preserve, right? And don't speak to them, because you don't want to cause them any reason to be upset by you or anything, you know. So I dealt with that, you know. And then when I got back to my city, I wasn't seeing them anymore. I stopped dating them, and you know, but while I was actually dating them, before I knew what they were really like in that way, I dated them for 2 months actually. I found out about my asexuality, what it really felt like to be highly aroused whilst kissing, but experience no sexual attraction. So that's like, so obviously I learned the personal lesson of me being strong, like I always know I am, but I also learned the lesson of my asexuality, that yeah, I'm genuinely asexual. This is what it feels like to feel aroused in my body, but zilch sexual attraction. And so that's really weird because that was the first person I'd ever been with who since I found out I was asexual and I've been dating for some time, the first person I passionately kissed, consciously aware that I'm very asexual and, that I experience arousal and I could tell the difference, I could tell, like, I just didn't feel the need I want for sex with that person. However aroused my body was, however much I enjoyed the kissing, I just wasn't I wasn't sexually attracted to them at all. And so that really, really confirmed what I already knew, is that, yeah, you can be an asexual who experiences high levels of arousal but zero sexual attraction. And you can be. It's totally true. I find that hard to believe myself because I'm like, usually arousal, I mean, we're all always conditioned that arousal and sexual attraction go together, aren't we? But I was shocked, myself, that of feeling that. But I know what that feels like. I know what that is. I know that I definitely don't experience a sexual attraction, and that's okay. But it is weird, like you experience arousal in your body, you like really passionate kissing, but you experience no sexual attraction. But that confirmed it in reality for me, rather than just the theory in my head and knowing I was like that. It confirmed it in practice, if you know what I mean, because it was the first heterosexual I'd been with for some time without, since my ex, knowing I was asexual, because I didn't know I was asexual back when I was with a long-term ex. The last person I was with that turned out not to be a good fit for me, that was a British guy. I'd never felt I could be attracted to a British guy that much. So I learned that now that I can put on my profile, my asexual dating profiles and stuff, that I could be with a younger British guy now, because I didn't think that could ever happen. And if I came across a really cute young British guy, we got on really well, and they weren't narcissistic and abusive, and they were a really nice person, it's possible I could be with a British guy now, which I didn't know before. So I did learn that about myself, and I did learn that I feel I need to be with a young guy, like I've always thought, but someone who's actually, like, the way they're portraying themselves in the beginning is consistent and actually the right person for me, and a nice person. Obviously not someone who's sexual. I need someone who's asexual, who I can trust. So, but I did learn that, in fact, I could be with a British guy. I need someone that knows their own mind. And the problem is when they're, like he was 23, nearly 24, I mean, as far as I knew, he did know his own mind, but I do need someone who's asexual, not heterosexual, and I do need someone who's genuine and honest and kind and caring and all the other wonderful traits. But I learned that I could possibly be highly attracted to a British guy, which I didn't think was possible because I was usually attracted to foreign guys. So now I can have more possible openings for other guys, possible relationship in the future with someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm still highly aesthetically attracted to foreign guys. I love a foreign guy, to be with a foreign guy, but I'm still open to that possibility now of a young, cute British guy, which I wasn't open to before at all. And so I could see how it could possibly work if it was a good, real, genuinely good, happy, healthy, long-lasting, loving relationship, which obviously that person wasn't right for me in the end. They weren't right for me at all. And so, at least I know now that is a possibility. So I learned that about myself. Do you know what I mean? And I did learn how it could work with a younger person if they were genuine and, as they appeared to be in the beginning, following through on that. And, I also learned that I really do need an independent guy who's independent of, like his family and stuff as well, not being told what to do by other people all the time. I don't want someone like that. So, but, I learned a lot through that experience, and I think it could work really well between me and a younger guy who was genuinely a good guy and genuinely cared about me. I could see how it would work really well, because he was 23, 24 yesterday, actually. Yeah. And that's the type of age that I was interested in. I can see how it could work if the person was a good person for me. And so I learned that about myself. So I think from every relationship, whether it's good or bad, even if the person turned out to be not who you thought they were, you've had to block them, cut off from them, they're no good for you, they showed you that they're not really the person that you thought they were, I think you have to take lessons from different relationships that you learn about yourself. Like last year, I dated for this guy for a night where he smoked. I've never been with a smoker in my life. I've always been against smoking. Then I kissed this guy for ages who was smoking. And I got like nicotine poisoning and a chest infection for 7 weeks. So not only I've been saying for years I can't be with a smoker, I've actually got proof now that I really, really genuinely can't be with a smoker. So if a guy's lying about smoking, I can smell it on his breath, I just can't be with him, right? I just can't be in a relationship for my own health. So, I think every time you're in a relationship, even if it's a bad one, I think you do tend to sometimes learn some stuff about yourself, even if the relationship doesn't turn out well. Obviously, if you're in an abusive relationship for over a long sustained period of time, that is harder. When I was with the person for 8.5 years, there wasn't much good really that I could see, other than the fact that I never went back to the person, that I had the courage to go back to it. Oh, and I did the pattern changing course, which I would never have done. So I did the 3-month course learning how to spot abusive behavior and abusive characteristic traits. So I didn't get back with that type of person again. Or if I do end up being in a relationship, I end it very quickly, as you know. So if I end up in a relationship with someone who is abusive or narcissistic or, basically an abuser, that I will just get out of it, which I couldn't do before. So even with that, for 8.5 years, if I hadn't have had all that abuse, which is really bad, don't get me wrong, I hated it. It was a horrible mental torture for me. I'm glad I'm out of that mental prison now. I wouldn't have done that abuse course, and then I wouldn't be sat here now helping other people to hopefully recognise signs of an abuser. So maybe they recognise that the person they're with now is a narcissist or abuser, or maybe it prevents them from ever coming into contact with someone who's narcissistic or abuser and getting involved with them. So even through really, really bad, rubbish times, there's usually something that you can think about that's a positive thing in your life. If you've been in an abusive relationship for years and you've left, God, how strong are you? Maybe you beat yourself up the fact you didn't leave sooner, but at the end of the day, you had the courage to either leave them or not go back to them. And I think that's amazing. And I just want to say that you must block them. Don't start being friends with these people, because they will try and be your friends and keep you on the sideline. And because they say, oh, I still want to be your friend, it makes it sound like you're really important, you're a really nice person. But no, they treat you like dirt when you were with them. They were nasty about you. They don't really care about you or love you as much as you want them to, like they did in the first place. You have to just cut off from these. They like attention as well. They'll want you to ring them and talk to them to make them feel important and special when they want it. You drop everything for them. You don't want to be doing that. Cut off them. You don't need them in your life. There's plenty of other people out there. There's thousands of people out in the world, And I have to let you know from the abuse course I did, that 1 in every 3 relationships, well, this is back in 2013 though, 1 in every 3 relationships is abusive. You could get depressed to that. Like it's 33.333% of the population. But don't get depressed about it. Just think, okay, 1 in 3 people I meet is likely to be abusive. So that means that, it's not going to be my fault every time I get someone who's abusive. Informative, good night. Life is too short to waste time with these people. Exactly. I think it's really important that just, give yourself time to grieve, get back stronger, do hobbies, interests, see your friends, grow your self-worth, grow your self-esteem, because you don't want to end up getting in a relationship quickly with someone else again who's likely to be like this as well. Anyway, thank you for staying with me, Heather. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Humanity Religion. Thank you for everyone else who's watched tonight. I love you loads. I really appreciate you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. If there's any questions, do pop them downstairs in the comments below. Pop them down below. If there's any more comments, anything else you want to know that I've not covered, hopefully I've covered so much. Just remember to grow your self-esteem, grow your self-confidence, grow your self-worth back, build your self-esteem back up, get a network of friends and family that will support you. Try and stay clear of other people that are likely to be narcissistic or abusers. Beware, you're very vulnerable at this stage and you're likely to attract those type of low life people again. So be very, on your guard with yourself like that. Protect yourself. You're not gonna trust someone immediately anyway. You're gonna have to spend a lot of time getting to know someone to trust. Trust is earned as well. It's not a given. And narcissistic abusers will think they have the right for you to just trust them like that. And if you don't, it's your fault and you're a horrible person. So don't take that from them either. Trust is earned over a period of time, not a given. And they shouldn't just think they're entitled to it from you. Okay. So anyway, I love you lots. The main thing is as well to try and dispel this negative energy, to think this is in the past, you've left them, it's all good. Channel that energy into really positive stuff. Use it if you've still got the angriness, use it to fuel your fire in good, positive ways, to motivate yourself to get projects done, to push forward in your life, to do other things, you know, so you can take that energy and use it for the greater good. I love you lots. Be kind to yourself, love yourself, you're an amazing person. Always believe in you and that you are fantastic. And there will always be some people out there who do love and care about you, who you are, and who see you as an inspiration, the wonderful, wonderful human being and person that you really are. And just thank God that you've recognized this now and that you're going to leave. And if someone else pops up like this, just know that you can leave them quicker. Just get better and better at it, because you never stop these people being in the world, but you just need to be on your guard and know that you can get away from these people and you can live a very happy, vibrant, energetic, wonderful life just being you. I love you dearly. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Sam. Very good video, enlightening. Good night. Oh, night, Sam. Night, Heather. Lots of love to you both. Take care. Bye. See you on the next video live stream. Don't forget, if you're watching this channel and haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon and the thumbs up. Bell icon gets notified of every time I go live right now. Post a new video. Till next time, brace your cookie on each other's. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye, Heather. Thanks for kisses. Bye, Sam.